Good evening. Calling to order the Revere School Committee meeting of December 16, 2025. We'll all rise and salute the flag. Mr. Vellucci, would you call roll?
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo.
Here.
Mr. Caggiano.
Here.
Mr. Kingston.
Here.
Mrs. Milbury-Ellis.
Present.
Ms. Monterosso.
Let me just check the Zoom. Hold on for 1 second. I have to, I'm just making sure that Ms. Monterosso is able to hear us on the Zoom. Jackie, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Ms. Monterosso? I don't think so. Ugh, I love technology and I hate technology. She is, yeah.
I will say the last time I had to do it, I couldn't reply. I could hear everyone, but I
Okay.
couldn't reply.
Paul, Jackie said she can't hear me and I can't hear her.
Her microphone is off right now, so she needs to
Jackie, can you hear me?
check your audio button down there.
Can't hear you,
Oh,
but I
there
can
you,
read your lips.
okay.
Perhaps you have to unmute.
I can't because that gives a reverb.
I get it, there's echo.
Yeah.
I'll just wait until you all figure it out, thank you.
Is someone else on that can mute? Turn off that microphone. Try it now.
Can you hear me now, Jackie?
Yes, this is great, thank you.
Perfect. See that? Persistence always wins.
Wonderful. We're all here.
Ms. Monterosso.
Present.
Mr. Sinella. Present. Mayor Keefe.
Here. We have a quorum. Okay, recognition. Oh, we have good recognition, but sad recognition. I wanted to again commend and thank our good friend, school committee member Fred Sinella, for his service to our community and multiple years of service to the school committee and, of course, our district in many different roles. I know that you said you were only 30 years old earlier?
Well, IQ-wise.
No, I don't think so. And I know that you've served with honor and distinguished service to the community. You've always done what's felt right in your heart. You've probably been right a heck of a lot more times than you've been wrong, but I think that we all do the same. We vote with conviction. We serve with what we feel is the best needs of our community, what represents us, what represents our families, and you've done just that. You've been an honorable gentleman to serve with, always respectful of your word, and I've enjoyed learning from you, and I know that some of the other committee members have as well, and I'm not sure if they have some offerings as well tonight, but I just wanted to say thank you very much for myself and the school committee.
Thank you so much.
So, Frederick, with 2 N's and 2 L's, I've had the honor to learn from you, watching your achievements, your contributions, and lasting impact on the Revere Public Schools. I'm not old enough to remember when you were in elementary school teaching, I'm sorry. And I am so upset right now that you have made me the oldest person on this committee now. So, although I'll miss you here, I say congratulations, and you know what? 3 times is a charm. He doesn't go away, he always comes back, so you never know what next year brings. Thank you, Fred, for everything.
Freddie, I would just like to say that it's been an honor serving with you.
You've been always somebody that we could go to if we needed to know the historical context of most issues, from where they started to how things came to be, which has always been wonderful. You've been a true gentleman, always a pleasure and respectful, and I've really enjoyed working with you, and I will miss working with you.
Freddie, even though I didn't know you before I started serving with you, I really enjoyed our time together, and I've learned a lot from you, and I thank you for that.
And I know Ms. Monterosso, you had some words?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to say I haven't had many seatmates to my left, Mr. Samara. I've definitely enjoyed you as being my favorites. It's been great to just learn from you. Like Mr. Caggiano said, I didn't know you when I came in, but you've become such a trusted colleague and someone that I have confided in so much. So I look forward to being able to work with you in other ways, and I hope you can enjoy the time back that you'll be getting. But you will be missed, and it's been a great joy to have you also as a mentor and a colleague.
And Mr. Snell, I don't know if you had any offerings to the crowd. I'd love to hear them.
Words of wisdom.
That's debatable, I guess. We could take a survey on that one. But it has been my privilege, not only as a classroom teacher, as an administrator, but serving citywide. An example was the concert that St. Anthony's had. We started that 50 years ago. I mean, time flies, but it's all part of progress. We like to think we do the right thing, but again, what's right now is probably not right then. And that's one thing the school department has shown through leadership and through personnel, that we're apt to take advice without hindrance. Old timers like myself, change is hard sometimes. You know, you can't see the end of it. But working with younger people has been a benefit to me because there are other ways of doing it. And for that, I am truly grateful. And it's something that by being of service to each other, it kind of weans a little bit. People are getting wrapped up more and more into themselves. A little more togetherness, I think, would be beneficial. The superintendent, and I've worked through quite a few of them, good, bad, or indifferent, you sense it, you feel it. It's not rhetoric. And I think this is the step in the right direction. Revere is not the Revere I knew growing up. It's not the Revere I knew in my professional career. It's not the Revere yesterday. It's Revere tomorrow. And together we will all pull together. And I am grateful for the opportunity and having the time to do so. Again, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
And just also to note, we have school committeeman-elect Stephen Damiano and school committeeman-elect Alex Rolimi in the audience this evening as well. We'll see you next month up in the dais. And if I can just offer a little bit of a somber note, I think that as a committee, we all want to condemn the violent acts that bestowed this world the last few days regarding the tragedy at the Brown University and Bondi Beach in Australia. I think that the world is all asking a lot of questions as to the whys, but I know that our hearts and prayers are with the families and people that were impacted. And like Mr. Snella said, we just need to continue to be better people and to seek to understand a little bit more in hopes that we'll have a more peaceful world. So if we can just take a moment of silence. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Rizzo.
Just one more recognition. I want to go back on good notes. I just want to say congratulations to 2025 graduate Ethan Day. Although his accomplishment was last year, this week they raised a flag with his name on it. He's done the boys' basketball. He's on the honor roll banner now that hangs up in the gym for 1,000 points. He is up there with Sal Barati from 86, 87, and Trey Weathers, who's like a second son to me, and he was in 2010, 2011. So thank you, Ethan, for allowing us to applaud for you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a approve the consent calendar.
Motion to approve the consent calendar?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Caggiano,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Mr. Sinella,
Yes.
Mayor Keefe.
Yes. Next up, we have the student representative report.
Should be coming right up. There you go.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is the student rep report for this month. As always, we're in accordance with the Massachusetts General Law. This month, in New England Sport Network, 6 RHS students had the opportunity to tour the NESN studios in Watertown. They were able to go backstage during the Bruins pre-show, tour the audio and visual production booths, and met with NESN executives, and even stood on set during a live broadcast. It was an incredible behind-the-scenes experience for students. Middle School Power of No Club. The GMS POK Club, led by Ms. Del Greco, organized a middle school food drive with participation from all 3 grades. They collected over 400 pounds of food for a local pantry. Donating students earned a dress-down day, and the project was a great success. The RMA POK Club, led by Mrs. Gendro, has 13 6th-grade members focused on leadership and service. A highly successful food drive led to the RMA Food Pantry, with ongoing donations and end-of-the-year contributions to the Revere Food Pantry. Dr. Bob will reward the grade with the most donations. Students also painted tulips in the RHS courtyard with support from POK District Lead Jill Foley. Equity Officer. A big shout out to our RHS principal, Mr. Bowen, for supporting student voices and helping to establish the Equity Officer role. The Equity Officer ensures that student council decisions, events, and communications reflect the values of equity, inclusion, and cultural responsiveness. Each Equity Officer also serves as a student representative on the district equity team. One key responsibility of the Equity Officer is to seek out and center marginalized voices in decision-making. We also want to thank Dr. Garcia, Ms. Monteroso, and our alumna Francois Kojo for their support in this role. For grade 10, we have Nayeli Sean, grade 11 is Isabel Londono, and grade 12 is me, Julia Figueroa. Project 351. Each year, middle schools across Massachusetts select one 8th grader to present their school in Project 351, a nonprofit organization that develops community-minded young leaders through service, learning, community building, and value-based leadership training. These students are chosen for their kindness, compassion, and leadership potential. Teachers shared that choosing among so many exceptional 8th graders in RPS was difficult, and they are excited to see how these ambassadors will contribute to our community throughout the year. Meet our Project 351 ambassadors. For SBA, we have Ariana Almeida, RMA Aubrey Buringi, and GMS, my sister, Jamila Figueroa. Sports Roundup. The RHS Unified Basketball Team had a winning fall season. RHS track has begun, and we just had our first meet last Friday against Lynn Classical. RHS Varsity Basketball had their first game last Friday and another game today. RHS Club Report. Speech and Debate. Speech and Debate is excited to participate in the annual Holly Tournament, the biggest competition of the year, with the new team ready to showcase their well-practiced events. Model United Nations. Model UN held an in-house conference on December 13th to kick off the season, especially for the students new to the club. Continuing the RHS Club Report is LASSO. This month, LASSO continued its weekly events. Students actively participated in community building slime activity, and they also had a career visit from SSG Malden Marion, where they gained insights into various career opportunities. And for the Welcome Club, on Tuesday, December 4th, the High Five News team visited the school to interview the Welcoming Club, film their activities, and tour the campus. The visit ended with the signature High Five finale. Deck the Halls. The senior class of 2026 will host the second annual Deck the Halls event this Thursday, December 18th. This magical evening will feature interactive activities as the halls of RHS are transformed into Winter Wonderland. Guests will also have an opportunity to take a photo with Santa. All are welcome to attend, and I hope to see you guys there. That's it for me tonight. Thank you.
So Julia, have you got any college updates yet for us?
Waiting.
Okay. Will we expect news in January or February?
January.
Okay, we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I know that before we go into public speak, we have a department head from City Hall that's presenting to us this evening, and he has a little bit of a time constraint, so we're going to ask that he be moved up if he can. So if we can take out of order the neighborhood middle school locations from Tom Skorowski to present to us.
Motion to accept out of order?
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Take it away.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for the leeway. Tom Skorowski, I'm the Chief of Planning and Community Development for the city, and I have been working with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, MAPC, over the last few months, looking at different options for moving from the lottery-based middle school model to one that is more neighborhood schools-based to make sure that kids have opportunities to have school right in their neighborhood, not miles away. So what we're going to do today is just take a look at the initial findings, the three options that we've come up with, talk a little bit about some of the data, and then what the next steps are. Next slide, please.
Do you have any more handouts?
I'm working on it right now. I'll pass these out. So I also underestimated the amount of people that were here.
Sure, we can share.
I'm not at school committee very often, usually city council, so I do have some extra copies here. Everyone should be able to have a copy if they need one. So
You want to share with me?
I'll wait till everyone's got what they need.
Unless you want to leave that with me.
It's okay.
Most of the committee members should have one by now. Looks like maybe one in a bit. So could you
Can I
go?
just give a little bit of a background?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So just to remind the community that the school committee, after the lottery last year, wanted us to take a look at, is there a feasible way to develop a program where we have neighborhood middle schools so that we could eliminate the lottery and take that headache away from the kids and the families, all of that anxiety that builds from February till April. Is there a way that we can get away from that and maybe have a neighborhood middle school program? And in doing so, still ensure that we have equality across all of our schools and that we have equal levels of different demographics for students with higher needs and students that are English learners, students that might not speak English as their first language, and all of the other different kinds of demographics that we look at and want to make sure that we are inclusive and everybody has an opportunity to experience the best of everything that they need in their education. So that's what led us to Tom, who I have to say has been an unbelievable partner, and I thank you so much, Tom, for everything that you've done. He's taken all of the data on all of our students in the entire district and looked at what these neighborhoods might look like. And this is in addition to his day job. So he does have a full-time job that he does otherwise, other than do special projects for us. So we really do appreciate that. And so that's why we're here tonight, and he's going to share with us what he has found in his data analysis.
Great, thank you, Superintendent Kelly. And could we pull back the slides up so I can remember what I'm talking about here? And Robin, if it'd be possible, one of the packets I actually need to review as well. Thank you. Oh. Appreciate it, guys.
Paul, can you share the slide? Oh, there we go. Okay.
And could you go back one, please? Oh, all right. Never mind. Go ahead. So we looked at three potential options, working with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council on a mapping analysis, and basically we provided them with all of the student enrollment data that was anonymized to protect student identities, and actually they went ahead and anonymized it even further by slightly adjusting student locations in all directions just to make sure that they were preserving that confidential information. But we worked with them and looked at mapping the students. We started off looking at specific census blocks. That's kind of the smallest form of geographic measurement we have. So we looked at the census blocks that were closest to schools by, as the crow flies, but also by walking. And then we made adjustments to equally distribute the student body amongst the three schools. And then focused on natural boundaries where we had to do that. So we looked at things like railroads, major roads, wards, places that, you just look at a map, and if you know Revere, feel like a neighborhood in areas we wouldn't necessarily want to separate unless we had to. That doesn't mean that it was, perfect what we did with our three different options that we'll present to you tonight, but we did our best to preserve neighborhoods as we were making these switches, but then doing so in a way that ensured students could be closer to the schools that were most proximate to them. Next slide, please. And on average, amongst the three options we've looked at, it doubles the amount of students that are living within a mile of their school. On average, it significantly reduces the amount of students over 2 miles from their school. So just as an example, today in the lottery-based system, 442 middle school students live more than 2 miles from their school. In each of the three examples that we've modeled, it's now less than 100. So a significant number of kids can be quite a bit closer to their schools. The one important note is that the data that you're seeing today is preliminary, and that's preliminary because MAPC, they did move things around just, I think it's like 500 or 600 feet in different directions with each specific data point. Now it's our job, and this will be my next step, is making sure that the districts we created are actually 100% accurate and reflect what you see on paper. So everything on paper is preliminary, but I think it gives us a good sense of where we're headed here, and I think I feel pretty optimistic about the direction we're going. So just to briefly go over the three options, and it's understandably hard to see here, and we'll have an opportunity to look at this in more detail, and I know you all have packets in front of you as well. What you see in that red maroonish color is the neighborhoods that would be zoned for this Susan B. Anthony School. What you see in the blue is Romney Marsh Academy, and what you see in green would be the Garfield School. And you can just go to the next slide, and I'll take specific questions as we go later, but you can, sorry, if you want to go.
I didn't know if you were going to do the data.
I am, yeah. So then you just see briefly, this is option one, then option two. So you can see some slight changes, but more or less the same. And then option three. So you can see within each of them, we just kind of made adjustments at the margins, and we just wanted to look at different opportunities to keep people close, but also balance out some of the equity and demographic sensitivities that we were trying to be mindful of. So those are the three options in brief. Again, you have them on your papers. Happy to answer any specific questions about them. And then what the data shows us in the next slide. So in blue, those are, and actually I'll read the three categories on the bottom because I'm realizing they're pretty small. So furthest to the left would be students that are less than a mile from their school. The next category is students that are between a mile and a half a mile. The third is between a half mile and 2 miles. And then the fourth is those that are greater than 2 miles from their school. So what you see in blue is students that are currently in that category. So you can see just what I said. We effectively double the number of kids who will be less than a mile from their school. The bulk of the kids not in that category fall into the next one, those that are within a mile and a half. And then there's really only a few students that are further than that. It's a marginal number that I cannot even read, it's so small, between a half mile and 2 miles. And then
30.
And then the last one is, I think, 5 kids that have been added that are over 2 miles. So for the most part, we we're able to really get kids in those first two categories so they have a much more walkable, bikeable experience if they choose. Option 2 is much of the same. Just really marginal differences here. And then option 3 similarly. And I think that is the one that is the most walkable, has the most proportion of kids less than a mile from their school. And then the other data that we have, again, is in much more detail in the packets in front of you, and happy to talk about them. But just to give you a sense of what we're talking about, we first looked at enrollment to make sure we had an even enough distribution between the 3 schools. It was never going to be perfect, a third in each, but we tried to have an even distribution. But then also using student data from our elementary school populations, we projected out for the next 3 school years as well. Just, based off of, next year we looked at who's in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade and so on and so forth. And you'll see within that there's slight variations over time, just like there always is when you have a neighborhood-based school model. And but for the most part, it kept it within a fair distribution of students within each of the 3 middle schools. Next slide, please. And then we did a demographics comparison that has a proportional percentage of data on English language learners, ELLs, students with 504s and IEP plans, first language not English, and then students from low-income families. So proportional data in that we took that whole population of students, so the ELL students, we take that whole group and then looked at in a perfect scenario, it would be 33% distributed amongst the 3 schools. You'll see in each of the scenarios how the proportions actually played out. But that was the goal with the demographic comparisons there, just to make sure we are, again, sort of equitably and fairly distributing these characteristics while not overloading one school with any particular circumstance. Next slide, please. And then we also did a demographics comparison. I think I mentioned to you at the last school committee meeting, there have been instances in other school districts across the country where doing a neighborhood-based school model can really lead to some inequitable outcomes, particularly with regard to race and ethnicity, and it can make a school district liable for civil rights violations and so forth. So we really wanted to make sure that we were keeping things on par with the district average. So we also looked at just race and ethnicity. For sake of simplicity, on the charts you have is just broken up into white and non-white, but we have more details and we will provide that in the future. But what it showed amongst all 3 of our comparisons is they're more or less on par with the district average. So we have schools that look like our neighborhoods, that look like our city, which is a good thing in any of those 3 options. And happy to talk in more details about the data once I'm done here, and this is my last slide. So our next steps are to conduct a detailed review of the numbers to correct for any data adjustments after MAPC hands the data back to us. And then I'm sure Superintendent Kelly will talk about it in more detail, but we'll have a community meeting to discuss the 3 options with parents and the ramifications and answer any questions people might have. And then we'll present to the school committee, I'm assuming in January, on the final option, so you all can choose from there. And the one thing I will note, elementary schools, do we talk about that? Or no?
Catching what you threw in.
Like the Beachmont?
Oh, we did
Yeah.
not.
Okay. So I think for now, this will be presented to the committee in January. We'll vote on that, and then we'll talk next steps after that.
Yeah. Tom is reminding me, and my tiredness right now wasn't picking up at first, but part of what he also studied is if there's a way to address the overcrowding at the Paul Revere School by shifting that neighborhood with the Beachmont. So but that's not quite ready for prime time yet, correct?
Not quite ready for prime time, and this is a Herculean enough task in its own right, so let's cross this bridge first, and then we'll get there.
So Tom, I know a lot of us are going to have some questions. If I could just preface, the conversation, though, we're not going to make a decision this evening. Tom is readily available, and I'm not saying every hour of the day, but a lot of the questions that you may have that are, I guess, singular, you can ask, and I think we just all need to fully understand that option 1, 2, 3, option 5 that might come out next week, there's never going to be a perfect option. Change, as we see with anything, is very difficult, but we have to look at what's the reasons for wanting to change. Is it going to make a bigger impact, and is it going to be for the betterment of all? And, does it at least get us closer to where we want to be? So just understand that. There's going to be, in every scenario, there's going to be 5 people on one side or the other that are going to be totally upset. Their lives are going to be upended. But we have to take and reflect on the 7,000 students and the few thousand students that are in our middle schools and the future. And these are things that it might work today, and like Fred Sinella mentioned earlier, it may not work 10 years from now. And those are the opportunities we'll have over the next 5 years to make adjustments. So, committee members.
And if I could just say one more thing before you go to the committee. Tom alluded to, we're in the process of trying to plan an event where we can hear from parents. And of course, we'd want the school committee to be present for that and hear what folks have to say about this. But we just want to make sure we are including the parent voice in this decision-making process. And so my goal will be to have that meeting the first or second week in January prior to the school committee's January meeting, so that you could use that information gathering in your decision-making process.
Ms. Milbury-Ellis.
Yes, Tom, could you just break down, like, just for instance, option 1, I just want to understand what it is that I'm reading with the percentages. Could you just explain to me, like, just go through, like, the first one, just so I know how to read the percentages?
Sure. So, and I did omit one key detail when I introduced it, so this would be helpful. So within each of the different demographics, I assume that's what you're talking about, the second page.
Yeah.
I looked first at just the current, like, 6 through 8 population, and then looked at, so if we just follow ELL students and I used obviously abbreviations there, so Garfield Middle, Romney Marsh, and SBA. So in this example, looking at just the current 6 through 8 student body, 42% of the ELL students in Revere Public Schools would be at Garfield, 33% would be at RMA, and 24% would be at SBA. And if you look at what it is currently with just the lottery-based model, this is the one, just so you know, in terms of ELLs, this is the one that I wouldn't say is as on par with what the current model is. The current model is much more equitably distributed, so 33%, 34%, 32%. And then what you see on the right column where it says pre-K through 8, all students, I just thought about projecting out. So if we take the entire student body that lives in that district and classified them into each of these 3 schools, how would they fall? So then you're at 38% Garfield, 33% RMA, and 27% Susan B. Anthony.
Okay, I got it. So current here is the lottery system.
Correct.
ELL students, this is the breakout based on demographics.
Correct.
Of the option 1 of what it could look like.
Yes.
Got
Yeah,
it.
and so
Thank
you
I
could-
just wanted to make sure I understood the how to read it, but I understand that, this is a preliminary draft for the most part, so I'm not going to get into specifics.
Yeah, and what you might want to, what the school committee members might want to do is compare that data that you just looked at for option 1 with how does that data look for option 2? And how does that same ELL data look for option 3? And kind of judge each one under each category to start thinking about what would be a model that you might want to adopt.
Yeah, and see what the parents have to say about
Yeah.
it. That's going to be a big part of this as well. Thank you, Tom. This is really helpful.
You're welcome.
Jackie has her hand up, sorry.
Ms. Montroso.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm trying. Thank you so much, Tom. First, I don't have an electronic copy of this, so I don't know if Dr. Keller or Robin can help me.
Yeah,
get a copy.
we don't have it electronically yet either, but Tom is going to forward it to me
Okay.
and we'll send it on to you.
Okay, perfect.
Is that right, Robin?
And-
Yeah.
Great, and I think also we've all requested that the community be a part of this once that time comes, so thank you so much for organizing that, Dr. Kelly. Are you looking to schedule this hopefully in the evening so more parents can participate?
Yeah, yes, so we are gonna schedule it in the evening so that more people can participate. Tom is gonna help me with this. And we're gonna try to see if we can figure out an in-person and virtual opportunity so that everybody doesn't have to come down to the meeting but could still participate. So we'll work on those details in the next week or two. And we'll
Okay,
have
perfect.
translation services available, of course, like we always do.
And one thing I really liked when we had our cell phone forum, or our safety forum, is that we gave people options to vote on things personally. I'd love to see if there is a way to have people just, I'd love a pulse check on the different options from the community on which of the three they prefer. So I'd offer that as a suggestion as you plan that night out.
Great,
And
thank you.
yes, and then, Tom, you said that there's more detailed demographic data that will come instead of it just being white and non-white, correct?
Correct, I just wanted to fit it on one page. That was pretty much it.
Thank you. And then the vote on January, that would be the official vote asking what option we want?
If you wanted to do it then, it would be fine. I think if the school committee decided to vote in February, but I do think that families need to know if, and we need to know for planning purposes, if there's gonna be a lottery or not. We have to start that work, and we have to have the kids tour the buildings and all of that stuff.
Okay, I wanted to confirm that's the vote you're referring to that you needed in January, so that we're all aligned with what your team needs as well to make this happen for the next school year. Okay, it was looking great. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding Tom's? Mr. Sinella?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that what I had stated earlier, their change is constant. If you look at, I believe Linfield has 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in their middle school makeup. I read recently where I think it's Pittsfield, they're thinking of doing 5th and 6th grade and then having 7th and 8th grade. When I taught at the Lincoln School, at that time, they had a middle school upstairs. So Rocco Melifotano, principal at the time, departmentalized his 5th and 6th grade where the children changed classes. They had one teacher for math, one teacher, and it got them ready for middle school. When I was at the Wayland School, a few years, they added a 7th and 8th grade. And it's totally different concept. So we had the children from kindergarten to the 8th grade. They got to know us, we got to know them. So change is constant. So even with what's being presented tonight, that's not edged in stone for next year or the year after. Most school systems don't have the luxury of having as many school buildings, so they're doing it because of where you can house X amount under one roof. So where we have some flexibility, you know, we're looking at it. Is there going to be 100% no? Are you going to satisfy everybody? No. We used to hear, my son lives next door to the school, though. We bought the house here because we wanted to go there. It doesn't always work out that way. We try to accommodate that. So I wish well on the new concept and the new process, and it's the way of the world today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sinella. Anyone else? Ms. Rizzo?
Thank you for all the work that you put into this. I really appreciate it. And no matter what, there's going to be people that are not happy. When they started the middle schools, I'm not aging myself as much as Mr. Sinella, but my kids were part of the process, and they were at 3 different schools that I had to get them to. And I myself worked at McKinley, and so that was 4 schools. But I think when I look at my kids and how much they grew and got to know people they've never met before, I really am pleased with the educations that they got at all the different schools. But I know it would be nice for everyone to have their first choice and stick to their neighborhood schools, but I just want what's best for the kids in the long run. And to me, when you go onto the high school football team, you don't know half of the kids because you didn't go to school with them. But whatever's best for the students, I am going to support. But thank you first and foremost for all your work in this.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, I'll reach out to you maybe next week sometime. I really want to go over the numbers first before I start asking any questions. Thank you.
Sounds good. More than available. I would only ask, perhaps, I'm hoping it's next week, once we can finalize the data to make sure it's exact. I think I'd be happy to sit down with any of you and have detailed conversations about the data once we know it's the right data. I think we're pretty sure, but just want to confirm.
Thank you, Tom. Okay. Next up we have is our public speak. Do we have anyone here, anyone in the audience wishing to speak on any agenda items? No? Hearing and seeing none. Anyone online, Dr. Kelly? Okay. We'll close that side of the hearing. Superintendent report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have actually two presentations, and then I want to share some information on the governor's proposal for new graduation requirements. But we're going to start first with a presentation from the Wayland School, and I want to invite Principal Shanley up. She's got one of her teachers, Lindsay Conrad, and I know one of their most favorite students in the whole city is also here to share his learning. And I'm going to be talking in a few minutes about the MCIEA work that we've been doing for about a decade now here in the district, because we've had some developments around that body of work. MCIEA, of course, stands for the Massachusetts Consortium for Innovative Educational Assessment, which I know is a mouthful. But our friends at the Wayland School have been deeply, deeply, deeply engrossed in that work. And prior to some developments that came to light toward the end of last week, Rachel had reached out and said that she wanted to share about the work they're doing for her school's presentation at the school committee. And after the teachers took the teachers executive committee took a vote to end that partnership, she said to me, what should we do? And I said, you should still do the presentation that you planned and have the guests that you had arranged to come up and speak and talk about what that experience is, because I think it's really important for the school committee to see. So without further ado, I will toss it to Rachel and her team.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kelly. Good evening, school committee members. Good evening, Mayor Keefe. Good evening, Dr. Gallucci. We are really excited to be here, like Dr. Kelly explained. I have with me Lindsay Conrad. Lindsay is a 5th grade ELA teacher. She is going to be part of the presentation. And our main guest speaker that was first one here tonight is Luciano Schille. He is here and extremely eager. I can't wait for you to hear from both of them. So tonight we're going to discuss our MCIEA journey at the A.C. Whalen Elementary School. MCIEA is not new for the district. We have been partnering with them for about 10 years. I have the really exciting piece to share from a teacher leader perspective. When I was at the Lincoln School, I was part of cohort 1 back in, I believe, 2015. Part of a team, we rolled out the idea of working with our students and providing an opportunity for them to be assessed differently than standards-based, like a standard test, and they were participating in task assessment. At the time, it was really exciting. Lots of bumps in the road. We rolled it out school-wide, and over the years, MCIEA has turned into many different things for us as a district. I think the most exciting piece of it that I would love to highlight tonight is really the big piece that has to do with one of the major initiatives of our district, which is deeper learning. And we will get into that a little further in the slides. What we really want to highlight tonight is where we have been as a district with MCIEA, where we are presently, and we'll talk a lot about at the Whalen School, and then where we hope to go in the future. So for those of you that are not fully aware about MCIEA, like I said, it's not new to the district. Just a couple of bullet points that I wanted to really kind of hone in on. It focuses on meaningful student-centered assessments. It is an emphasis, like I already said, on deeper learning and teacher tasks. And it's also a partnership across Massachusetts with many different districts. Why MCIEA matters so much to all of us: it supports our major initiative within the district about deeper learning and our priorities around deeper learning. It also provides an authentic way for us to assess students with projects. It builds teacher capacity and collaboration. Through MCIEA, we have been able to calibrate, educators have been able to sit and look at student work and really be able to calibrate, and Lindsay can talk a little bit more about this, but really get on the same page with how we're grading students, and kind of sit around the table, talk about a task. Is it equitable? Is it rigorous? And so forth. It also offers holistic, equitable measures of student learning. So where we have been, Revere's history with MCIEA, I talked briefly about it. We are, like I said, amongst other districts. We meet often and talk with them. We have built partnerships with these districts as well and grown with them, with deeper learning always at kind of the North Star for all of us. Each school in our district has had a different piece of MCIEA. Tonight, we're going to highlight Whalen's piece with that. Each team has had a real strong teacher rep part. It hasn't been really administrators pushing it. It's really teacher driven. And I feel like every team has, had ups and downs, but it's always been really teacher focused and teacher led. It serves as an early foundation for deeper learning and creating tasks. I talked a little bit about my personal journey with MCIEA. Like I said, I was part of cohort 1 at the Lincoln School. I also was part of a kaleidoscope team for the district, which we worked really closely aligned with DESE. And again, our big, major, huge focus was deeper learning. MCIEA has kind of propelled us forward with deeper learning. It got us very eager as a district to kind of jump into that, and really that has kind of stayed with us at this point. So recently MCIEA was just in the news for Maynard. I know RHS had sent a team to go and observe some amazing pieces that they kind of have going on there. They have figured out how to kind of do it throughout their whole high school. And I think there's more to come probably from the team that went to observe over there, so I'm excited to hear about that. The experiences that we take away from MCIEA are always an authentic experience for students. So where we are now, 2 years ago, we kind of joined MCIEA. Whalen was also part of the cohort 1 along with the Lincoln and other schools within our district. 2 years ago, when I became principal, we jumped right back into MCIEA with deeper learning being a major focus for all of us and our admin team and also the teachers as well. We were part of a mini pilot. Just last year, we moved forward and kind of jumped in and did the whole pilot, which is a portfolio that teachers are using to assess students. And Luciano will talk a little bit more about that, which I know we're really excited to hear your voice and not my voice anymore. All right, so let's see. All grades created MCIEA-aligned tasks at one point at the Whalen. Last year, we decided to really focus and hone in on our grade 4 ELA team. Last year, Lindsay was a grade 4 ELA teacher, and we'll talk a little bit more about where we hope to go moving forward. We've expanded a little bit this year from grade 4. And just one other piece that I want to really highlight is that MCIA also lives within our school improvement plan at the Whalen. It shows up in 2 different spots on the SIP, so I'd love for you to take a peek at that and see where I have that highlighted as well. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. So School-Based Deeper Learning Showcase. We had a deeper learning showcase at the Whalen School, as many other elementary schools in our district have over the past several years. It was a no-brainer for us. Those of us that had some MCIA tasks that we were able to showcase those very easily. It was seamless. Those teachers were able to save some of the artifacts and work and highlight that and really show that to everybody. Ms. Conrad and Luciano were part of the Deeper Learning Showcase district-wide that we're going to get into a little bit later in the discussion. We feel like MCIA is also a way for us to really elevate student voice. We make sure that within tasks, students have voice, students have choice. They're always working towards a different audience with their tasks. And the next slide, Ms. Conrad is going to take over and talk a little bit about a highlight, which is the grade 4 MCIA pilot that we worked on last year. Thank you.
So a little bit of background. I joined the Whalen team 3 years ago now. I was a 4th grade teacher the past 2 years, and this year I'm teaching 5th grade ELA and social studies. And I joined the mini pilot my first year teaching. I was really excited to hear about deeper learning. I've always been really excited about including project-based learning in the classroom, but I had never heard of deeper learning before I joined the Whalen team. So I had never heard of MCIEA, and my second year, I decided to do the full pilot program with the 4th grade team, and my 4th grade students absolutely loved it. I found that the deeper learning project-based tasks really allowed my students to demonstrate their mastery of skills in a new way that traditional tests can't truly capture. They are much more open-ended and allow my diverse learners to show their understanding in a way that works best for them. They're able to show their creativity and highlight their strengths that may not surface on a typical assessment. It's also far more engaging. My students are very eager to dive into these tasks. They consistently put forth their best effort in these tasks. And many actually ask for more of these project-based assessments because they feel successful and excited about their learning when we're completing these tasks in the classroom. I actually just did a survey, very informal, with my students the other day where we just sat in a circle and I asked them, you know, I think it was on 6-7 day, and what I said, we were sitting in a circle, and I said, you know, we're 67 days into the year. What is something that you know, either if you had me in 4th grade last year, and there was something we did last year, and you'd like to do something similar, or just something that you would like to be doing more of in the classroom, because that's what I want to be doing as a teacher is, you know, really giving the students what they would like to be doing. And almost every single student said, I want to be doing more projects where I feel really involved in my learning, which was a great answer because we just started our first MCIEA task for the year this past week. So that was really exciting. But the fact that they didn't even know we were about to start our first task, and almost every single one of them reflected on the project-based learning they did in 4th grade, and they said, I want to do a task like the water bottle task Luciano's about to share, or a writing task that we did that was deeper learning based last year was really great and showed me that they really enjoyed the tasks and that work stuck with them moving on to 5th grade. So yes, we have our friend Luciano here, who you can see in the picture was with me at the District Deeper Learning Day last year, presenting this task. And he was in my 4th grade class last year. Sadly, he's not in my 5th grade class this year, but I do see him in the hallway every day. And he is going to be completing the same tasks that I'm also incorporating into my teaching in 5th grade this year, because I'm working with my 5th grade co-teachers to be implementing the same tasks throughout our classrooms. So if we would like to move on to the next slide, Luciano, would you like to take it away? And I can hold this for you if you want.
So a little bit of background information. I've basically been at the Wayland my whole life. I've really never been at any other school. And after we started the project-based learning, it's really never felt more hands-on or interactive. Something I like about project-based learning, it allows me to showcase the answers that I would give on, say, a traditional test in a more unique, different perspective way. Last year we did a project about the water bottles where we selected our favorite book character and we chose 6 key character traits and drew emojis that represented those traits, and we drew them on a paper water bottle like this, as if this was the character's water bottle. And this year, like Ms. Conrad was talking about, we've started another MCIA Deeper Learning project-based project about the American Revolution, where as if we were doing a newscast, as if it was 18th century, Boston Tea Party, Stamp Act, Sugar Act, this, that happened. And we were doing a news project about it, so we'd have the news anchor and the on-scene reporter and the eyewitness. And it feels a lot more engaging and hands-on, and like I'd want to do it again compared to like an essay we would have to do about the Sugar Act or the Stamp Act or the Intolerable Acts or the Boston Tea Party or the Boston Massacre. So, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Luciano. You are an extremely difficult act to follow. Thank you. Very eloquent, amazing 5th grader. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Conrad. So moving on, we are, like Ms. Conrad alluded to, we have expanded from our grade 4 ELA team that focused on MCIA tasks last year to 5th grade this year. So the 4th grade ELA teachers meet with the 5th grade ELA teachers, troubleshoot, talk about things that they're having some issues with. Someone from Nikki Holland from MCIA is on hand to meet with us, has Zoomed with us, has come and met with us in person to lead us. So the 4th grade and the 5th grade team have each other to lean on if they're having some issues or they're just curious. Lindsay's our expert in grade 5, where she already went through the experience, so she supports them as well. So ongoing, the portfolio, we're going to be doing those portfolios in grade 4 and 5 this year on the ELA side, and we hope at some point soon to have a preview of some grade 5 work that Luciano just explained to everybody. The last slide is just our MCIA journey. It's just basically a summary of what we discussed tonight, where we were, the early district involvement and foundational work, kind of set the stage for where we are today at the Wayland, energized really as we implemented some ELA tasks for grade 4 and 5, and also showcases to bridge that to families as well. And we hope to expand a little bit more possibly as we move forward, if we are going to continue this work, aligned with the district initiatives of, like I said, that North Star of deeper learning. So thank you so much. Thank you for having us. Any questions?
Just before they get to questions,
Yep.
I just want to make one comment, because I know there's a lot of ether in the air about this, but we will be continuing this work. We're not abandoning our mission and our vision, and we're not going to ignore student voice. We understand what good teaching practice looks like, and we will still be doing all of this work, whether or not we're partnering with MCIEA. So I just want to reassure the whole team at Wayland that our vision and our mission stay solid regardless.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a few comments, but does anyone want to go first? Ms. Rizzo?
You can go. Feel free.
Okay, I just need to go back to Luciano for a second. Luciano, is that your mom in the audience? Oh, your
That
family?
is. It is.
Mom, I'm sure you have wonderful, we know you have wonderful educators around you, and you're
Thank you.
clearly getting a great education over there, but I think you need to thank Mom because she's giving you great guidance
Yes,
as well.
definitely.
Very, very impressed,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Luciano. Good job.
Thank you very much.
So I had a question, and you can sit up there, Luciano, or if the teachers are, want, so this has become a conversation tonight, the MCIA, and I'm not putting you on the spot, Luciano. You
Oh,
should
no,
not-
it's fine.
I'm not going to use you in the middle of this, but.
I kind of actually
So,
like it.
Ms. Conrad or Luciano, you're an educator, right? You're a teacher?
Yes.
And so were you caught off guard with this decision to disengage from MCIA?
I was not aware of the vote, but I enjoy working with the Deeper Learning Initiative and MCIEA.
I'm not looking for you to take sides. I was just, this kind of caught myself and Dr. Kelly off guard. And I'll be honest, I'm one of those that doesn't know a lot about MCIA, but I know that there's, when you say deeper learning, I know a lot about that. When you say a lot of the student showcase stuff that you've been doing, I recognize those terms more than the back office term. Right. But, okay, I was just curious if this was like a consensus decision. I understand leadership has an opportunity to make decisions for the body, so I'm not trying to get in the middle of that. I don't think anyone here wants to, but I was just curious if someone that's so invested in it had any say in it. Okay, thank you. Enough said. Ms. Rizzo. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Thank you so much. You're an amazing young man. You're with amazing educators that are there to support you. I remember when this program first started, the showcases at the end of the year were phenomenal. It was nice to learn from different districts also. So it kind of really saddens me to know it might go a different way. But the work that you're doing and how you can incorporate it into the day-to-day life of the school is amazing. I think our students learn more with this being on hands,
Yes,
hands-on.
I agree.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I agree.
Yep, than just doing a report on something and writing down a bunch of words on paper. I'm just saddened that it's going a different way, but proud that the team at Wayland School is going to push for what's best for our students every day.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Can I take him home? Oh my God!
Okay, Mr. Kingston, and then we'll go to Mr. No.
I'm just curious, does he have any brothers or sisters we'll be seeing in the
No,
future?
he's only child.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate everything.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Montrealis.
Thank you. So this is a question actually for all of you, and it's kind of on the heels of what the mayor was asking, but I am interested because we've seen all the wonderful work that has been presented, not fully understanding really all of the benefits of this collaboration. But I'm interested in learning, and I think for the people at home, I'd like to have a better understanding of what we're losing. Thank you. If each of you could just kind of educate us on what it is that what this means, like this decision to break our collaboration with this cohort.
So I feel like there's a couple of different parts of MCIA that we're a part of. One of those is basically the task creation that we talked about, and the hope that at some point some of those tasks can take the place of standardized testing. That's one piece. The other piece that we would probably be losing would be the opportunity for us to have the data, which we have from the MCIA dashboard, which each building and the whole district uses for lots of information about how students feel, are students feeling like they have a voice in school, are teachers feeling like they have all of the materials that they need, are they feeling safe, lots of different questions about the student body and the educators. So we're able to kind of look back many years, all of the years that we've really been part of it, partnering with MCIA, and compare different data to kind of see the trends that are happening. Why is this school, everyone's feeling amazing, everything's great, we have everything we need in place, but at these other schools we're not. And we have lots of discussion amongst the principal group, in addition to also meeting with MCIA as the SQM workshop, which happens, I believe, 5 times in the year. And we meet with other districts and talk about data. I had the opportunity of meeting with one of the MCIA coaches that would help coach me along what are you noticing, what trend is really speaking to you from this data, and they would either come and meet me in person and meet with a team. It's myself and a few teachers. Ms. Conrad's not part of that, so it's a little different. So there's some different pieces of it. Some of the different feelings about MCIA could be from past years, which is my concern as a principal in the district, that I feel like we need to think about the here and now and where our district is right now. Like I said, throughout all the slides, we've had growing pains with MCIA. Each school has approached it differently. Each leadership team has approached it differently. I have a very hands-on approach. I meet with them. I've been lucky to really carve out time. Everyone has approached it differently. So for us, it's really working. It might not be working for everyone, but I just want to make sure that we're thinking about the here and now and where we are present day. I hope that explained.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Thank you.
Did anyone else?
It's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
He's going to be sitting there in a few years, right there.
He's going to be sitting here.
He might be. Give him a few years. I said I'll gladly step aside when people like that are ready. Okay. Dr. Kelly.
Okay, the next item on the superintendent's report is a presentation from our humanities team. And they're gonna come up and talk to us about leveraging coach collaboration to support MTSS and how that's happening in the humanities department. So I wanna welcome our 2 directors, Dr. Porter who's K through all of our humanities, and of course, Brianna Supas, who is in charge of our elementary and early childhood assistant director.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly, Mayor Keefe, Dr. Galucci, and members of the school committee for having us tonight. We're excited to talk to you about some coach collaboration we have going on to support our MTSS work. Next slide, please. All right. So the photo that you see there is Brianna and myself, along with Chelsea Binks, who's the assistant director of the ML department, and all of our literacy coaches and ML coaches. So as a full team, we are collaborating on supporting the MTSS multi-tiered systems of support implementation across the district. And we wanted to take an opportunity to explain what that collaboration looks like between our 2 departments tonight.
Okay, so, as you know, in our district strategic improvement plan, the #1 focus area is teaching, learning, and leading. And the #1 initiative underneath that is advancing the district's multi-tiered system of support. In this slide, you'll see that we have defined what those tiered supports look like. And tonight we're going to be focusing on Tier 1. The key focus within Tier 1 is ensuring that English language learners receive the intentional standards aligned instruction regardless of the model, whether that be a standalone model or a co-taught model. Next slide, please.
So this is the organization of our work. So obviously Brianna and I are here representing the humanities department. We are collaborating with Chelsea Binks, who's representing the ML department, and all her coaches are represented underneath. She has an elementary, a middle, and a high school coach. We have 6 elementary coaches, 3 middle school coaches, and a high school coach. So Brianna and I already meet with those coaches every Friday. With this organization, we're meeting once a month as a full team and focusing on collaborating. So to achieve that goal that Brianna mentioned, that universal, strong Tier 1 instruction, the coaches need support to support our teachers in having our ML students reach some of those goals. So one of our first steps in that work, which Brianna is going to go over in the next slide, are some of the priorities that we've come up with, and then we're going to give you an example of what that work has looked like recently.
So one of the ongoing priorities that the coaches have wanted to pay close attention to is how to support those educators in supporting our EL learners. And our first collaborative meeting with the ML department, we really mapped out what those priorities would look like. And over the course of the year, over the course of time, so we have our short-term priorities, our medium-term priorities, and then our long-term priorities. And tonight we're going to hone in on those short-term priorities that we've begun this year.
Go to the next slide. So again, that's a lot of words there. We wanted to zoom in. So as Brianna mentioned, one of our short-term by the end of the year goals in this collaboration is to develop tools to support ML-aligned classroom routines around speaking, vocabulary, and reading. So Dr. Kelly, if you go to the next slide. This is a snippet of daily literacy routines. Our high school coach, Samantha Wilkins, created this. So these are routines that we would want our middle and high school teachers to use in their classrooms around the different areas of literacy. This piece here is just highlighting reading. So for example, one of them would be like excerpted reading, and that would be when students are focusing on analyzing shorter passages in a text more deeply. So for all of these routines, we worked with the ML coaches to think about some adaptations that we might need to make using these routines with our ML students. And we want to note that we constantly say to our coaches, and we understand ML students are not a monolithic group. There's differences among those groups in the levels that they're in, so teachers are always referring back to their data. So we're not trying to say that all of these things work and should be used all the time, but we wanted to acknowledge that there has to be some additional support or scaffolding depending on students. You can go to the next slide, Dr. Kelly, please. This is the same list of all those routines, and then on the right-hand side are some of the modifications that teachers might need to make if they were working with ML students. So in that excerpted reading where kids are doing a deeper dive into shorter portions of text, you might need to support kids with, for example, annotation guides, pre-sorting vocabulary, and defining that for them in advance to help them access this. What our coaches are doing with these, the teachers are already familiar with this document. They're then supporting teachers during PGT time and in individual meetings in modifying some of these routines to support our ML students.
Next slide, please. This slide just focuses in on our Tier 1 curriculum. A lot of this work is, like we said, is focusing on Tier 1. So we're taking our high quality instructional materials that we already have, and we're looking for ways to increase that support for our EL learners. And that can look like, and will hopefully look like, promoting student-to-student discourse, because we know that speaking and listening will help language development for our EL learners. So for instance, in our Tier 1 program here in CCC, the second one down for partner reading and turn and talk routines, a lot of those routines where the students turn and talk to one another are part of the curriculum already, but now we're going to help coaches then work with teachers to kind of pre-teach some vocabulary, to empower language for those students, assign turn and talk roles perhaps, just to really encourage more speaking and listening among the students. Next slide, please.
That's okay. All right. And these are our immediate next steps that align with some of our shorter term goals. During the November 4th PD Day, we had taken videos in several classrooms of our teachers focused on the new educator growth rubric we're using. The feedback we got was people really love seeing their colleagues do highly effective instruction. So our coaches, as well as the math coaches, are working on capturing video from classrooms of teachers that we already know have highly effective practice around supporting ML learners at different levels. The plan is to use those videos in PGT, and teachers will be able to review them, what that look for. Again, we had such high feedback from November 4th PD of people enjoying watching their colleagues use strong practices, and we will continue to support our teachers in adapting their classroom materials to meet the needs of our ML students. That's it.
Yes, I just have a quick question. Is there a difference between ML and EL?
No, so EL is the older term that we use. The more updated term is ML. So sometimes when we're speaking, we go back and forth. We try to use ML.
Okay.
EL is English learner, and now it's multilingual learner, which is a much more, I don't know, good adjective, equitable, updated term that we use, but we have the same meaning. That's just the older term we would use would be EL.
But they're English, but they're learning English.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank
Yeah,
you.
You're welcome.
And that's probably my fault because I tend to go to the old EL.
We all do it.
It's just
Yeah.
there's tons of acronyms.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
I want to highlight one thing here that Christina and Brianna have done such a great job working with our ML department on. I just almost did it right there, which is really making sure that we're not using lower level grade inappropriate text with our students who are learning to speak English. The whole idea of all of this is that they get the exact same curriculum, the exact same reading, the exact same articles that any student gets, and what we do is scaffold to make it more accessible to them. And that way we're not watering down their learning because they have a language barrier. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the superintendent's report is just a quick fill-in on what is going on with the governor's task force for graduation requirements. And I'm going to share just a one-page slide. I don't know why this is not. I don't know why this is so small. Let's try this. There we go. That came out of the interim report from the governor's graduation council last week. And I was fortunate to be in a meeting with the executive board of the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents and the education commissioner and his two deputy commissioners on Thursday, where we talked a little bit about this. And the 7 areas that you see identified here on this slide, we're fairly certain are going to be what the recommendations are going to be. The final recommendation is due to the Board of Education and the legislature in June. So this is their preliminary. They are going to seek feedback over the next 6 months and then come out with their final recommendations in June. And as I mentioned, there are 7 items that they're looking at including as graduation requirements, and those fall into the 3 different categories that you see here. The first is the foundations of learning and coursework. And that is all students will complete a rigorous program of study that aligns with the administration's requirements for higher education. In other words, what they're leaning toward here is that they're going to require all students complete the Mass Core program of studies before they graduate. We already require that in the Revere Public Schools. So we are in good shape in terms of that requirement. Under demonstration of mastery, they have 2 items identified. The first is students will participate in end-of-course assessments that are connected to selected courses and that are designed, administered, and scored by the state. We don't have information yet on exactly what that is going to be, but we anticipate, if we look at an echo effect from MCAS, that it would be algebra, geometry, English 9, English 10, biology. And there's been a lot of talk about adding a civics component as well. One of the things that MCIEA has been doing over the last 6 months is really working with the graduation council and the governor's office to hopefully expand minds away from the traditional pen and paper test for those end of course assessments and move on to more of the kinds of performance tasks that our friends from the Wayland School were talking to us about today. And we've made some traction in that area, and that's evident in other parts of the requirements here. Namely, the second demonstration of mastery is that all students will complete a capstone or a portfolio that's defined by the state, but it would be scored and administered locally. If that happens, our work with IEA would have been instrumental in helping us prepare kids so that when they get to the high school level, they already know exactly what that kind of entails. And then the third category is college, career, and civic readiness. The first one is that students will develop and maintain an individual career and academic plan, or a MyCap plan. Our students already do that, and we introduced that this year at the 6th grade level. So by the time these new graduation requirements come into effect, we'll be all set with that item as well. Students will complete the FAFSA or MASFA, that's the financial aid form that's required in order to go to college. As you know, we do a number of events for families to help them fill out the FAFSA. Our guidance department is unbelievable in all of that community partnership work. There is going to be we understand there's going to be an opt-out if families don't want to do that piece. That's not going to prevent a student from getting their high school diploma. It looks like there's going to be a requirement for a financial literacy component. Again, we already have a financial literacy class at the high school that all of our sophomores, I think it's freshmen, take the financial literacy for 1 quarter. In addition, we have the program that Mr. Kingston offers at the Garfield School. So we've been working around financial literacy for a number of years now. I don't look at that as a huge hurdle for us to overcome. And especially if we introduce the AP business course that I talked about at the previous meeting, that would be yet another avenue for students to engage in financial literacy learning. And then the last element under here is they want to expand the designation on sales of distinction. As you know, right now we offer the sale of biliteracy here at Revere High School, and fortunately we have hundreds of kids every year who earn that distinction. The state is talking about expanding that distinction to other areas so that a student, for example, could earn a sale of distinction in science or a sale of distinction in mathematics. Those are all of the details that still need to be worked out. And what the commissioner and his team told us is that we should not be worried that this is going to happen in September. They said this is going to take a number of years to implement. Once the plan is finalized by the governor's office and by the legislature, then they'll be working on what does the timeline look like and what are we going to implement first, second, third, fourth, etc. And they've said that they're committed to taking feedback from the community, from families, from school committee members, from superintendents and educators on what this should look like. So that's the work they're doing in the next 6 months. But I feel like we're in decent shape.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly.
So, Mr. Mayor, that is the end of the superintendent's report, but I would ask for a point of personal privilege, if I could, just to share with the committee a little bit more about what we've been alluding to around the MCIEA work today.
Sure. All in favor?
I was gonna say, did you want to take that up in executive session, or?
No, she was talking about the, yeah.
Because there's some questions I wanted to ask on that, but I'd rather do it. I'll take it up in executive session.
Yeah, okay. So can I? Yeah. Okay. So I want to start by reviewing a lot of the information that we've already talked about tonight, and the efforts that the district has been making to really engage students in rigorous learning and making sure that their instruction is rigorous and that the way we assess them really echoes what they know and are able to do in ways, as Luciano described, that are engaging and exciting and make him happy about being in school. And we really want to get away from the more traditional ways of assessing and instructing students. So I hope that the presentations that we give here help you see the efforts that we're making in that direction. We talked about our AP participation rates and the steps that we're taking to try to increase that and make sure that more students are exposed to rigorous academic experiences like AP classes. And you've seen in the piece that I just went over the requirements that the governor is going to be mandating that all students complete before they graduate high school. I was very disappointed to hear late last week that our teachers union has elected to stop our work with the MCIEA, the Massachusetts Consortium for Innovative Educational Assessment. That was a joint labor management venture that we've been engaged in for over 10 years. It ensured that teachers did have a voice at the table of how communities judge their work through school accountability measures and student assessments, and it ensured that our kids were engaged in authentic assessments and that our schools are weighted on what communities feel is important to them. I don't know how many of you know this, but when we first started our work with MCIEA, they came out and actually did focus groups in multiple languages with our parents, with our students, with our staff. And the survey that we take every year that we talk about, the MCIEA survey, was derived from what the citizens of Revere, the students of Revere, and the teachers of Revere said was important to them. And I shouldn't say just Revere, the other 7 communities that were founding members participated in that as well. But our citizens and our students and our teachers really did have a strong say in what it is we're measuring when we look at the school climate survey data every year. That was one major focus of the work that we did with MCIEA. The second major focus of the work that MCIEA does is about deeper learning and replacing the standardized tests with authentic curriculum-embedded performance tests of the kind that you saw displayed today, and moving away from a scenario where we shut a school down for a week at a time in order to give these standardized tests that don't really capture what a lot of kids work and what they're able to do. There are so many kids who shut down the minute they know that test is coming that they can't possibly try to show you what they know and how smart they are. And so the focus of MCIEA, the mission and vision, was always to move away from that to something that was truer to students and truer to staff. The piece of the work that has been growing in the last 2 years is exactly what Principal Shanley shared with us tonight. It was moving from forward from these individual isolated performance tasks that kids would engage in from here and there in their different classes to actually developing portfolios of their work so that they would have a long-term record, their families would have a long-term record of what they were able to do. And part of the political side of that work was the MCIEA board, of which I've been a member until recently, was working with the legislature to make sure that these ideas are incorporated in any changes at the state level, like the governor's graduation requirements. In a statement, the president of the RTA said that participation in MCIEA has added initiatives, paperwork, and meetings to the plates of teachers already struggling to meet their professional goals. I want to be very clear that anytime any teacher working for the Revere Public Schools did anything outside of work time related to MCIEA, they were compensated at their contractual hourly rate. And that includes the teachers that Rachel mentioned just a minute ago are working on the School Quality Measures Advisory Board. They have another meeting, I know, coming up shortly. They've had 3 meetings so far. The teachers who are working on that are getting stipended for that work, for their time outside of school. So what this means is the school committee is going to have to decide if they still want to gather feedback from students, parents, and teachers. I think it's very valuable. It's driven our school improvement and district improvement plans for years now. But if we still want to do that, we're going to have to contract with somebody who will administer those surveys for us. I know that before we joined MCIEA, I looked into just doing a student survey, and that was going to be $50,000 for the district. And that was 10 years ago. So I would guess that that's going to cost us upwards of 6 figures to implement a new kind of survey. You asked the Wayland team what it means to them that we're giving up this partnership, and Rachel talked a little bit about that, but I'll add that the coach who's been coming to meet with them and do that work with them will no longer be able to come to Revere and do that work because we're no longer part of that partnership. And most importantly, I think, one of the things that I heard that the union stepped away from this is because there weren't as many stipends this year as there have been in the past, and that's certainly true. Like every place that's struggling financially, MCIEA saw their funding cut this current school year that we're in right now. Still, we had $250,000 that came from the legislature. This is important work. It's valuable to our elected officials at the state level. But when there's less money, there's less that you're able to do with it. So one of the things that we did engage with MCIEA on was a joint venture to submit a grant through the Spencer Foundation. We had submitted for this grant last year and we didn't get it, but the Spencer Foundation came back and said, you had a really strong application. We need to see some tweaks in these areas. We want you to change these things, apply next year, and we can't promise you anything, but it looks very good that you would get the grant. So that would be the Revere Public Schools working with MCIEA and UMass Amherst to expand the way we engage parents in the community in our school improvement planning process. And over the next 5 years, that would have been over $890,000 to the Revere Public Schools. That would have included over $120,000 in stipends for teachers to do that work, because it would require some nighttime meetings and some after-school work and time that the teachers aren't currently compensated for. I don't know that the union knew that we were applying for that grant with MCIEA prior to this, but I'll say that nobody from the Revere Teachers Association came to talk to me about this relationship before they sent an email to the executive director of the MCIEA to say that the Revere Public Schools was withdrawing. And so, when we talk about trying to make sure there are voices at the table and that we're collaborating and that we're working together, I don't see that in this instance. It's pretty disappointing. We were on a path to see our students arrive at Revere High School well-positioned to achieve all of the graduation requirements that are going to be visited on them, whether or not the union likes it, in the very near future. And we still need to prepare the kids for that. So we're going to keep doing this work. We are still going to work on performance tasks. We're going to still work on portfolios, and we're going to keep moving in the direction that centers student learning and student needs before everything and everyone else. We're not going to shy away from this work. We just won't have the funding, the resources, and the partnerships that we've been able to enjoy through MCIEA to date. It's critically important work.
Dr. Kelly, when did the governor's recommendation come out in comparison to when this vote was taken, as far as what the new requirements were going to look like?
I don't know exactly when the union voted, so I can't quite answer that. I know they sent that the President, Jane Chapin, sent the notice to the MCIEA last Wednesday. And I believe the governor's interim report came out 2 or 3 weeks ago. Is that right, Richie? Do you remember?
So knowing that portfolios and capstones and the work that we're doing through this organization is going to be a requirement, most likely, for a graduation requirement in years to come, we've elected to forego those services and those resources.
I believe that's the case.
It's very disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Sinella.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the superintendent, I'm a little mixed up here. If they're working during school time, and if it's extra time and they're being compensated for it, what's their complaint? I mean, I'm missing something here. You usually withdraw if it's not something you're looking for, but they're getting it. And a vote was taken. Most contracts or most unions have to publish if there's an election, or they have to notify someone or something or whatever. I would think it's in violation of the contract if they've already agreed to do what's being done. Those are issues that would have to be taken up at the next contract negotiation, not dumping in midstream. And again, I don't know what the membership is, 300, 400, 500. What was the vote? I think we're entitled to know if 15 people voted and 14 didn't want to go. I think the rest of the organization should be aware of this. And when it hurts the pocketbook, maybe then the light will go on and say, well, I had a supplement of X amount of dollars. I'm not showing that. The leadership, their leadership has to be responsible for it. And from what I'm hearing, the MTA seems to become much more militant in their statements that they're going to back candidates for school committee. Well, what happens for the children? I mean, now it's getting to be self-serving, that it's work conditions for us, not the children. The programs we heard tonight, they're accomplishing what has to be done. You heard from a student, I've never seen such enthusiasm, where he wants to go to school. He cited 15 points of the revolution that most adults probably couldn't say. And it's detracting, because leadership swings both ways. It can't always be negative. And it puts a burden on the school committee. It puts a burden on the administration. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And was mentioned, the state is coming up with X, Y, and Z, which we're already doing. So through you, Madam Superintendent, can they withdraw from it? If the teachers are teaching as groups, they're going to stop teaching? I mean, what are they going to revert back to? I don't know.
Yeah. So a couple of things. We're not going to stop doing the work. We are absolutely going to continue to do the work. And all of the curriculum directors and all of the principals will be ensuring that we're doing this. To your point, Mr. Sinella, what they do during the school day in their PGT time is determined by us and by their administrators and their evaluators. And that work will continue to speak to the district's goals, vision, and philosophy. So they can't walk away from that work. My understanding is that this was a vote of the executive committee only of the Revere Teachers Association. It was not a vote of the membership. So I think there's maybe 15 or 20 people who are on that executive committee. And so they're the only ones who voted. Jane Chapin, the president, did tell me that she went out and spoke to members of the Teachers Association, but I'm not clear on exactly who that was, or exactly what they had to say, or if they understood what the circumstances were here. So I can't answer that piece of it. I will say that the Massachusetts Teachers Association, the MTA, their parent group, along with the AFT, both have seats on the MCIEA board. They are non-voting members, but the MTA is very supportive of this work and this work that we've been doing at the state level. So honestly, I'm flummoxed. I don't know. I can't speak for others.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, is there legal precedent? Can we reach out to the membership to?
I think we have to be careful. It is the union's prerogative to run themselves as they see fit. And this venture with MCIEA, one of the agreements that we make to be a member of that group is that it will be a joint labor and management. So it has to be that the union's on board and the district is on board.
But you're talking 15 leadership people making a decision for 300 other people. There has to be a way of illuminating what's being done. Okay.
Mr. Sinella, thank you. If I can just point out a couple things, and I guess this is a question too, but one is they do have an executive body that does represent them, so you have to give credit there. I'm not taking sides here. Certainly, hearing today's stories of what this means to students and educators that seem to enjoy and appreciate the program, it sounds like it's really great. And, you know, Ms. Shanley mentioned that doesn't mean for 10 years it was always perfect, and doesn't mean every school it's reflective of what we saw from the Wayland, but I'm sure there's a lot more goods and bads, and maybe bringing this to the surface in the spirit of collaboration, there can be some consensus or some back and forth to explain, to maybe flush out what this actually did, This is going to take away from the district funding, it's going to take away from the district opportunities to learn more, it's going to take away from the district. But it may give the opportunity for the body to voice their concerns with what they may want to see in the future. This could be a good opportunity to come together, like you said, actually have good dialogue, and maybe the decision could be reversed, maybe not, but I would say that would be the hopes that I would have is, cooler heads prevail, we flush out, or everyone flushes out what they are not getting out of the program and what they'd like to get out of the program. I mean, it's very clear, and I work with a lot of union bodies on the other side of things, and if there's a stipend involved, this is extra benefit involved, usually that's, people want to work. They like, no, I don't think anyone doesn't want to work here. I think everyone in the school, all of our educators, all our custodians, DPW, you name it, they all want to work. And if you can give them a few extra dollars to make, to do a little bit more, they're usually more than happy to. And it's also potentially bringing them up a notch too. So hopefully this will bring that up.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the clarity.
Mr.
Thank you.
Galucci.
Actually, before you go to
Yes.
him, Ms. Monterosso has her hand up.
Ms. Monterosso.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 points for me. Just to clarify, Dr. Kelly, did I hear that our presenters mentioned they weren't even aware that this vote was made by their leadership, their executive team for the union?
You heard, yes, you heard a teacher make that statement, yep.
Okay, so I've also heard from other teachers who have reached out to me personally that they also were not aware of this. So it would be interesting to know who the leadership team did talk to, but they're their own thing. My question is, are there any ways that we can choose to continue with some of the services, like the student surveys, the dashboard? That data has just been so robust, and like I said, it informs so much, and both our teachers, our students, all of us constantly talk about stakeholder engagement. So the school committee and the superintendent are making decisions on their own in silos, and to know that a lot of the data we use did come from this partnership. Are there any ways that the district itself can continue? Does it have to be 50-50?
Well, it's one of the things that I'm going to pursue with MCIEA, and that kind of speaks back to the point that the mayor just made. I have already spoken to the executive director who understands my position here. And I know that they would all be more than happy to work with us if we can find a middle of the road to get back involved. We would need to have that union's commitment though. If the union doesn't want to commit to doing the work, then we can't be on the team. We can't do the surveys. We can't do any of that. If, to the mayor's point, we can find some kind of accommodation that MCIEA can work out for us, but that the union is willing to commit to again, I know they would welcome us back with open arms.
Mr. Galucci.
Okay, that sounds like maybe the next step for us is to explore if we want to come to the table with leadership for the unions to what that middle ground looks like.
Okay.
If I may, I just want some clarification. The curriculum is set by us.
Correct.
So if they say they don't want to do it, isn't that refusal of work? That's my concern is, because if it's this thing, how about the next topic and the next topic? That's my concern.
Yeah, it's a real concern.
Right, so it can stop there. Suppose they said, we don't really want to teach this particular course or anything. That's my concern about the whole thing, is this could come to a bigger situation, and
Yeah, it could set an ugly precedent.
and then if someone
yeah.
refuses to do the work,
They would be evaluated as such.
or it's a refusal of work.
Mhm.
I mean, being a member myself, we could grieve a situation we didn't agree to, but one thing I've always told my members, you never refuse.
Mhm.
You never refuse work. You can grieve it
Mhm.
after the fact if you don't agree, but to say I'm not gonna do the work,
Yeah.
that's a violation.
Well, and I think this is a little bit different, just because they haven't said, I'm not going to do the work. They've said, we're not going to participate in this partnership, right? So we'll have to see how it kind of plays out as we, if for instance, Rachel were to go back to work tomorrow, I'm sorry to use you as an example. Let me use somebody else. Yeah, if a principal in a school in one of the other districts that's a member of MCIEA went and said, we're gonna all implement this performance task in our fourth grade English classes, and a teacher who teaches fourth grade English said, well, I'm not doing it, that would be a disciplinary action. There would be reason for discipline there. And that, hopefully would never happen in the Revere Public Schools, but if it did, that's how we would pursue it.
Yes, but we've been in this program for 10 years. Around 10 years?
Yeah,
So to me, it's past practice, it's part of your job.
yep.
So,
Part of your contract.
that's what I'm just having a hard time putting my hands around.
And so that's why I'm saying, like, we will still do this work. We will still continue to do the work. We'll still expect teachers to use performance tasks in their classroom on a regular basis. We're still going to work on building out student portfolios because we need to get kids ready for graduation. We're still going to do all of the things that we were doing before. It's just a shame that we can't do it in collaboration with our colleagues from across the state and get some money to do the work while we do it.
I'm just concerned, if another situation comes up, and then they refuse to do it, and they refuse. That's my main concern.
I hear you.
Quick question, Mr. Mayor.
I guess I don't get the endorsement.
What was I guess I'm just trying to understand, what was what was the idea behind having the joint membership, as opposed to it just being a decision by?
So the idea was that we wanted teachers to be at the table and have a voice in designing what performance tasks would look like, and really take an active role in doing that because they're the ones who are going to implement them. And the idea of having the multiple districts, what we wanted to see is if we create these performance tasks and then we give them in Revere, and we give them in Milford, and we give them in Lynn, and all of these different, Lowell was another partner district, Somerville, Boston. And would teachers score them the same way? Would it look, would the scoring look alike, so that we could prove that you could give kids these performance tasks and teachers could score them, so we could have this assessment system that didn't require that you shut down school and do MCAS for a couple weeks every year and do that kind of stuff. So, but the idea was to give the teachers the opportunity to engage with each other and create the performance tasks and implement them, refine them as need be. I think you guys will maybe remember that the Paul Revere presented on when they did theirs, and then how the teams got back together and refined how they would do it next time when they presented that last year. It's like doing all of that kind of work, which is a lot, but we were giving them time during school to do it because we value it. And I think that maybe what the union is frustrated by is that MCIEA didn't have the money to run those meetings this year with all of the districts coming together and having the performance task group meetings. They did some over the summer, and we had some teachers who went over the summer, but they didn't have the same level of money that they've had in the past. I don't know. I really am just trying to rationalize without having a solid amount of information. One of the things that Jane mentioned was, I mentioned to you earlier that we started this partnership 2 presidents ago. And I know, so when we started initially, it was Eric Fearing was the president, and we did the joint labor management agreement together. And then Gina Garrow came on, and my understanding is that she said to Eric, can you keep doing that? One thing I don't need to have on my plate. So Eric did, and I don't know, I know that there is, at least when I looked at it this afternoon, they have MCIEA listed as a partner on the union website. It talks, there's a blurb there about the work that the RTA is doing with the MCIEA, but somehow they felt like they didn't know it was a joint labor and management partnership. I don't know.
Dr. Galucci?
I'll be quick, I promise. As the assistant superintendent who has overseen this partnership, really alongside Eric Fearing, in fact, we've presented consecutive years at the State House as a leader in this work. I think the unfortunate part is the loss of the task bank. So if you can imagine, everyone in this consortium contributes to the task bank. And I am proud to say, and as someone who sent the stipends to Lou Albanese to be sure that teachers got paid, many of our teachers were task validators, which means teachers not only from Revere but all across the state would submit a task to be put into the task bank. But before that happens, to make sure that it was high quality materials, they would have to be vetted by deeper learning experts. And there would be a back and forth between Revere educators and educators within Revere and other cities to say, this needs to be edited. You need an extension activity to challenge the students that are high performing to make sure that they're challenged. And only then would that be added to the task bank. And then once those, over the past 5 years at least, we were building that task bank so that a grade 3 teacher that had to teach a certain standard could go in and see what was there for a deeper learning experience. What was the existing lesson that was in there? And our teachers did a really nice job of serving as an expert. The other piece that I'll talk to you about that I've worked deeply with, Peter Piazza, he was the point person for MCIEA, and he did all of the survey work. I will tell you that we did all of the surveys in school with the kids. The principals did a great job of being sure that they were in front of technology and could take the survey. So our response rate was high 90s, which if you've ever given surveys, that's huge. And also what we did is reserve some time during the last principals meetings to allow the staff to take that survey. So that return rate was also high 90s. So as a former principal, that data was so valid and so valuable to me across the board of every facet of our building. The learning that was going on in the building, how staff thought of me as a principal in terms of trust, leadership, evaluation. And then recently, within the past 2 years, Revere was a pilot for the family survey, which may not have had the high response rate because it's not on site, but really had a nice return and gave us an idea of what parents were thinking about the district. So those two things really jump off the page as really unfortunate that could go by the wayside.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, more to come, I assume.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Maybe this flushes out some conversation. Good conversation. All right. Dr. Kelly, your superintendent's report, okay. Report of subcommittee, we don't have any motions? No?
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Monterosso?
Yes, we just wanted to formally accept the superintendent's evaluation goals because they weren't technically part of the consent calendar, so just motion to approve superintendent goals.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second? Motion to approve superintendent goals. We have a
Motion to
second?
approve, accept my goals.
Yep. We have a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Caggiano?
Yes.
Mr. Kingston?
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis?
Yes.
Ms. Monterosso?
Yes.
Mr. Sinella?
Yes.
Mayor Keefe?
Yes. Thank you. Ms. Montrose, any other motions? Okay. We don't have any hearings, unfinished business, new business, and there's a request to enter into executive session. Do we have a, we're going to take a vote to go into executive session. If the vote's affirmative, we will go into executive session. However, we will not return after the session. The meeting will be adjourned. So before we adjourn, and before we go into executive session, I would personally, and I know the entire committee would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah and a Happy Holidays and a great New Year, and we'll see you in January.
See you next year.
So,
Mayor,
Yep.
motion to go into executive session in accordance with reason 1, which is for personnel.
do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo?
Yes.
Mr. Caggiano?
Yes.
Mr. Kingston?
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis? Ms. Monterosso?
Yes.
Mr. Sinella?
Yes.
Mayor Keefe?
Yes. Thank you, Regis.